There is a moment hidden, silent when the world continues as if nothing has changed, but in the realm unseen, everything already has. That moment is when the veil thins, when the line between the natural and the supernatural grows faint. And for those with eyes to see and ears to hear, it is unmistakable. The signs begin to bleed from heaven into earth, from the eternal into the temporary, and those signs are not random. They are warnings. They are harbingers. We look around and we say, "What is happening? Why does it feel like the very ground beneath us is trembling?" It's because it is. But not in the way the world understands. It is not the economy, not the politics, not just social unrest. These are only symptoms. What we are witnessing is the shaking of a system that no longer aligns with heaven. We are watching the unraveling of what was never built on truth. And when God removes his covering, the hidden cracks are exposed. You see, in the ancient days before judgment came, the Lord would always first send a word, a sign, a glimpse. Before Babylon fell, a hand wrote on the wall. Before Egypt's firstborn were struck, the blood was placed on the doors. Before Jerusalem burned, the prophet wept and cried out. Always there is a moment of warning, and that moment is here again. In recent days you've felt it, haven't you? The strange unease in the atmosphere, the disorder that logic can't explain. The leaders of this world, once stable, now stumble. The voices that once boasted now fall silent. Institutions that seemed immovable now crumble like dry leaves. It's not just politics, it's prophetic. What we see in the natural is echoing what is unfolding in the spiritual. The structures of men are being weighed on a scale they do not acknowledge, and they are being found wanting. And God is showing us, not just me, not just the few. He is revealing to the faithful, to those who walk close. There are dreams, there are visions, there are discernments coming upon those who never asked to see, but who now can no longer close their eyes. Because the time is urgent and the signs are clear, he showed me power removed, a man, yes, a leader. A system, but it was deeper than headlines. It wasn't just about one man falling from authority. It was about a throne that had no right to stand, a dominion that had operated in darkness for too long, a realm of influence built not on righteousness, but rebellion. And the Lord said, "It is enough." And I saw the hand of God reach down not in rage, but in sovereignty. The way a potter breaks a jar that cannot be repaired, the way a gardener tears out the root that no longer bears fruit. It was not vengeance, it was justice, it was mercy dressed as judgment, because sometimes the removal of power is the last chance for repentance. But the world doesn't understand that. They see the removal and they panic. They scream, they point fingers. They try to patch the cracks with more lies. But those who walk in the Spirit, those who understand the times, they don't panic. They fall to their knees. They ask, "Lord, what are you saying?" Because make no mistake, when God shows power removed, it is not just about the fall. It is about what must now rise. The veil is thin because heaven is speaking. The old is passing. The new is coming. And those who are awake, those who are watching, are being called not to fear, but to prepare. This is not just about governments. This is not just about nations. This is about every system that thought it could survive without the breath of God. Every platform, every pulpit, every palace, every marketplace that was built in defiance of heaven. It will be shaken, and it is being shaken. Do you feel the ground tremble beneath the false security of this age? Do you feel the breath of the Spirit blowing across the ruins? Because the veil is no longer thick. The signs are no longer subtle. We are now in that moment, the moment before the floodgates open, the moment when God speaks once more, not in whispers, but in thunder. And if you are hearing this now, it is not by accident. It is because you are being called. The veil is thinning, so open your eyes. There comes a time when God does what no man expects when he removes power, not quietly, not in secret, but with precision, with finality, and not because he is distant, but because he is near. You see, we think that power comes from ballots, from boardrooms, from thrones made of stone or metal. But the Word tells us something far more sobering. The Most High rules in the kingdom of men and gives it to whom he will. When power rises, it is permitted. And when power falls, it is removed not by chance, but by decree. This generation has placed its hope in influence, in position, in men with charisma, in leaders with authority, but authority not rooted in righteousness is nothing more than borrowed time. The kingdoms of man may look strong, they may seem secure, but if God is not the foundation, they are already crumbling. We don't always notice it at first. We look at a leader, strong, bold, feared, and we assume permanence. But the judgment of God does not always come in fire. Sometimes it comes in silence. Sometimes the most terrifying act of heaven is when God removes his hand and says, "Have your way." Because once the covering is lifted, what was hidden begins to rot in the open. God showed me what it looks like when he removes someone from power, not just the headline version, not just the political version, but the heavenly version. What I saw was not chaos, it was order, the divine kind. What I saw was not injustice, it was holy reckoning. The fall of a man is only tragic when it wasn't preceded by warning, by mercy, by the long patience of God. But this removal was not without warning. It was the final chapter in a book that had already been written in arrogance. It happened before, again and again throughout history. Saul stood tall, chosen, appointed, anointed, but his heart turned. Pride replaced obedience, jealousy replaced humility. The throne remained for a season, but the power had already departed. The Spirit had left him, and he didn't even know. Because it is possible to keep the seat, but lose the authority. And when the final hour came, it was not his enemies that removed him, it was the will of God. There was a king in Babylon who stood upon the roof and declared, "Is this not great Babylon, which I have built by my power and for the glory of my majesty?" And even as the words left his mouth, a voice came from heaven, "Your kingdom is departed from you." Just like that. Not because of politics, not because of armies, but because pride had reached its limit, and that is what we are witnessing now. What looked immovable has been shaken, what seemed untouchable has been dethroned. God allowed power to be held, but only for a time. And now that time is over. There is no man so powerful that heaven cannot humble him. There is no system so secure that the breath of God cannot scatter it like chaff. The fall may not come when you expect it. It may not come how you predict it, but it will come, because God is not mocked. And when righteousness is mocked from the seat of power, when evil is paraded and truth silenced, when the fear of the Lord is cast aside like an old garment, then judgment is not only coming, it is already here. The problem is, we've been taught to believe that judgment is always fire and thunder, but often it looks like exposure. It looks like confusion. It looks like a crown falling without hands touching it. And that is what I saw. The Lord removed someone from power, not because man overthrew him, but because heaven overturned him. There is a moment when the scales tip, when the writing on the wall is no longer a warning, but a verdict. And once that verdict is spoken, no counsel, no advisor, no spin can stop what comes next. But why does God remove power? It's not random. It's never without cause. He removes power to preserve the innocent. He removes power to humble the proud. He removes power to remind the world that he alone rules. And sometimes he removes power because the one who sat in the seat no longer served the purpose for which they were placed. Do not be deceived by appearances. The shaking we see is not man losing control. It is God taking back what was always his. And when God brings down, he does so to make room for what he is about to raise up. That is why this matters. That is why this moment is not about despair, but clarity. He removes so that we would remember. There's a moment in time when the noise fades, when the distractions fall silent, and you begin to feel something beneath your feet that you can't explain. It isn't physical, it's deeper, it's spiritual. You feel the foundations tremble not just in the world around you, but in your soul. You begin to realize that what you thought was solid isn't holding anymore. The systems, the voices, the culture, all of it starts to crack. And you ask what is happening. It is the time of shaking, and we were warned. Once more I will shake not only the earth, but also the heavens, says the Lord. Not just a region, not just a government, not just an institution. Everything that can be shaken will be shaken. And what will remain? Only that which is built on the eternal. Everything else, everything built on pride, deception, greed, and rebellion must fall. That's the part we don't want to hear. That what we built, what we trusted in, what we found identity in, might not survive the shaking. But if it wasn't built on truth, it was never meant to survive, because God is not shaking the world to destroy it. He's shaking it to purify it, to expose the fault lines, to remove the layers of corruption and compromise that we've tolerated for far too long. We trusted in economies and they tremble. We depended on leaders and they fall. We leaned on traditions, institutions, even pulpits. And now they crack beneath the weight of what they were never called to carry. This isn't just a political storm. It's not just social unrest. It's not just economic pressure. It's a holy shaking, a divine dismantling of what no longer aligns with the heart of God. And the reason you feel it so deeply isn't because the world is ending. It's because the Lord is beginning something new. But here's the danger. When the shaking comes, most people run. They try to hold together what God is tearing apart. They try to rebuild the same broken systems that were never meant to last. But when God shakes, it's not an invitation to fix what's failing. It's a call to come out from among it. To detach, to awaken. When Jerusalem rejected the Messiah, Jesus didn't just walk away. He wept. And he said, "If only you had known, even you, especially in this your day, the things that make for your peace, but now they are hidden from your eyes." And then he said the city would be leveled because the foundations were no longer rooted in what was true. And now we are watching foundations collapse once more, not only out there in the world, but in the church, in the home, in the heart. Because if we built on the sand, then the storm must come, and the storm is not punishment, it's mercy. Because God is revealing what we built without him, what we built for show, what we built to preserve our own comfort instead of carrying his presence. And here's the truth. It's better to have something collapse in the shaking now than to carry a false security into eternity. Don't resist the shaking. Don't run from it. Let it refine you. Let it strip away everything that isn't eternal. Because when the dust settles, what remains will be unshakable. There is a remnant being called out. A people not attached to systems, not seduced by platforms, not afraid of loss. A people who have been through the fire, through the sifting, through the shaking, and have come out pure. Those are the ones who will lead in the days to come, not the powerful, but the faithful, not the loud, but the obedient. Not those who chased influence, but those who carried the cross when no one was watching. So when you feel the ground move beneath your feet, don't panic. Don't try to fix what God is breaking. Don't cling to what he's tearing down. Instead, ask yourself, what is being shaken in me? What have I built that won't last? And what is God inviting me to build now on his word, on his spirit, on his truth? Because this shaking is not the end. It's the beginning of something holy. And so here we are, standing in the aftermath of the shaking, in the shadow of fallen thrones, in the ruins of what once seemed unbreakable. Power has been removed, systems have failed, the veil has lifted, the earth trembles, and yet in the silence that follows the collapse there is a voice, a call, not shouted, not broadcast on screens, but whispered into the spirit of those who still have ears to hear. It is the call to rise. This is not the end. This is the turning. This is the moment the remnant must awaken. Because when the systems of the world collapse, when the mighty fall, when the ground shakes beneath every false foundation, it is not just about what falls. It is about what now must stand. The Lord never allows a throne to fall without preparing a remnant to rise. The world sees the collapse, but heaven sees the commissioning. The same moment the counterfeit is exposed, the true is being called forth. Those hidden in the cleft of the rock, those forged in silence, in prayer, in obedience. The nameless, faceless ones who were never invited to the table of influence, but who have been feasting on the word in secret. Now is their time. The Spirit is not looking for the polished. He is not calling the popular. He is not empowering the politically aligned. He is summoning the surrendered, those who have been purified by the shaking, those who didn't run when the fire came, those who clung to the altar while everything else was stripped away. We are in a prophetic moment, just like when Elijah stood alone on Mount Carmel, surrounded by a system of idolatry and corruption. The prophets of Baal danced and shouted, cutting themselves, calling on a God who could not answer. But Elijah, one man, stood with the word of the Lord, and fire fell. That's what this moment is. The fire is not coming for show. It's coming to confirm who has truly stood with God. But this fire won't fall on crowds. It will fall on altars, personal altars, private surrender. It will fall where hearts are yielded, where pride is laid down, where the remnant has waited, watching, weeping, praying. This is not a call to influence the culture. This is a call to be consumed by the presence of God until the culture is confronted by your existence. If you're hearing this now, it is because the call is for you. You thought you were forgotten. You thought you were passed over. But you weren't forgotten. You were hidden. God hid you for such a time as this. While others were chasing platforms, you were seeking His presence. While others were building kingdoms, you were learning how to carry the cross. While others were compromising to be seen, you were consecrating yourself in the unseen. And now the Lord says, come forth. You are not rising to restore the old. You are rising to build the new. You are not here to polish the remnants of a failed system. You are here to be the foundation of what cannot be shaken. But understand this, to rise is not to be elevated. To rise is to be ready. It is to be willing to carry the burden, to carry the flame, to carry the message no one else wants to speak. It is to walk through ruins and declare life. It is to speak truth where deception ruled. It is to call people back, not to religion, not to ritual, but to the living God. And it will cost you. It will cost your comfort. It will cost your reputation. It will cost your ease. But what is comfort in a burning house? What is reputation in a collapsing kingdom? What is ease in a time of holy war? We are not here to survive. We are here to stand. We are not here to blend in. We are here to be set apart. We are not here to please Pharaoh. We are here to follow the cloud. This is the moment where God raises up those who will not bow to Babylon. Those who, like Daniel, still open the window and pray. Those who, like Esther, will go before the king even if it costs them their life. Those who, like Paul, count everything as loss compared to the surpassing worth of knowing Him. This is not a season for spectators. This is the hour of the remnant. You were born for this moment. You were chosen for this time. The old has passed away. The shaking has made it clear. Now the question remains, will you rise in the ruins?